Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, Simone Biles. I've done videos about Simone Biles and I stick with the data. I'm not going to go with the cult of personality, which a lot of us have fallen for and use as our measure of where to go and where not to go. Albert Pike had stated that he and his all self-acknowledged devils would control whole populations using the cult of personality, in terms of they would make our leaders for us, and then wherever they would go, we common folks would sit back and say, hey, I feel the same exact way. Well, I don't think you feel the same exact way as Simone. I mean, this is just, when I saw this picture here, I was thoroughly disturbed by it because of all of the just meaning behind this, and the constant pummeling of our psyche with a normalization of Satanism, a normalization of Baphomet. I mean, if you just look up all the different statues of that they've set up in front of governmental buildings, it's been lately such a rollout that no one should not be aware of this assault. And this quote is quite disturbing, but this is what they do in these official circles. No one will enter the New World Order unless he or she will make a pledge to worship Lucifer. No one will enter the New Age unless he will take a Luciferian initiation. And this was stated by David Spangler, the United Nations Director of Planetary Initiative, Lucis Trust member, Freemason, outspoken Luciferian. So seeing old Simone on up in here, no, I don't mean that in a, derogatory fashion, because I'm old, but it is a certain way to exist on this planet, and definitely bowing down to a principle that uses lying, treachery, violence, intimidation, just overall nastiness, pedophilia, to bow down to that. So that you're even in this photo. Wow. The photo, it reminds me of this statue that was found, I do believe, in Pompeii, when they were excavating one of the houses that were just incinerated by the Mount Vesuvius, I think, erupted. Um, this reminds me of this insult that Vogue magazine, of course, they understood exactly what they were doing. Same as when they had Serena posing on Vanity Fair as Hottentot Venus. They know the insult they mean with this photo, and it became a huge controversy, so much so that you almost, only thing you could find is a teeny tiny little thumbnail, and so when you expand it, it just is really fuzzy. It's not a clear image. And we're used to these guys, Prada and all these other giant corporations and companies, directly insulting us because they're part of it. Like Anna DeWinter, whatever the heck her name is, who is always, showcased with their latest favorite Procyon Loter of the week to peddle their Baphometic agenda. Now, she was supposed to be at a goat yoga session when this photo was taken. I don't give a damn. Just the way that these people operate with their little signals. Yeah, it's like it gets everybody freaked out. Like, do I put my hands like this? Do I not? Because there really literally are ways and methods that they utilize different symbols and actions as a communication. The deaf have sign language. Well, they have multimedia controlled, just how do we take over an entire planet and destroy it methods. So the reason why I'm calling Simone a Negropean is because I haven't established necessarily that she fully understands what she's doing when she engages in such activities. Simone has grown up surrounded by white people on a daily, hour to hour to hour basis. There's no way she could have achieved what she had unless she was thoroughly surrounded. And these people will identify absolute stunning champions when they're children, and they will then swoop in like sharks for a feast and work on their minds from that. The whole, like with Simone's, with I forget what Olympics it was, where they were Black women. Most of us have been driven out of our minds. Yes, it's true. But there were Black women getting on her case for her hair, just getting sweated up and going back to natural. Unfortunately, because of that, the number one sign of a Negropean can tend to be, doesn't have to be, you could be Negropean with your own natural hair, but you'll still be out there celebrating Christmas, right? But one of the major signs of your disconnect, your cognitive dissonance, is the hair issue, where Simone's response to that criticism, which a lot of it was harsh and it was based on shame. Most of us will run from the might of our Blackness just based on shame, wanting the whole world, every non-Black person out there, to forgive us for the horror. Oh my God, are you horrified by Black people too? I was horrified. I was born one. I'm speaking as some of the worst mindsets of Negropeans. Just being Negropean is not an insult. I don't mean it that way. It's simply ignorance. And ignorance will get you caught out there. And so with Simone, her response was to get her hair ridiculously flaxinated. She and Meghan Markle probably go to the same beautician so that stuff is fried down. So, I mean, it's whoa, I'm surprised that her skin hasn't gone lighter just from the amount of lye, going through her scalp, because it ain't stopping there. If it's that caustic to just whip her hair into a state of complete deadness, because they did a Netflix video just before this totally Baphometic Olympics got started, with the games wide open, and was it 3 or 4 cross dressers who were going to bear the Olympic torch. And then they just upped it more with the whole, like opening ceremony and the rest of it. I mean, come on now. We know they were sending out epic messages to everyone, right? And so for Simone to maintain this hair, that all of the muscular orchestration she was going, that hair was getting all sweated up and it stayed dead straight. That was the shame that got embedded into her. That is a key feature of Negropeanism. And they've been utterly trying to talk us in. Now, here's the thing. People can go through hard times. The more confused you are by white people, the less you are capable of thinking straight. So you're going to be extra vulnerable to confusion. There's plenty of Negropeans out there who believe everything white people have to say. If they get cancer, they're going straight to the oncologist and they're going to get whatever they recommend, and it's just going to put them in the grave faster. All right. There's plenty of them out there who are not, confused, feel acclimated to the lies that they put out there. And they convince themselves through the acquirement of so many of the little baubles that Western society puts out there as a symbol of you having made it in life, that they feel like I'm good, and they'll get extra boisterous about it or extra boisterous about it, where look at what I got, and they lose just the kindness of humanity. That's what you when you say you're humane, you don't put that with that means I'm arrogant, right? And that is one of the key features of our Blackness that's always been there. That's the only reason we've been able to transform the entire world, so that there are people who have never even seen a Black person, but they're freer because of us. That is our number one export to everybody: freedom, because we bring the truth. You are not supposed to be a devil. You are not supposed to just bow down and give up hope. You fight always. Evildoers, wrongdoers, liars, anyone who would harm a child, you fight that person. And I don't mean the way that they, with Arab Spring and all the stuff that they motivate, incentivize, so then they can make it seem like, look at how violent these people are. Oh my goodness, we have to bomb them out of existence. Right? I don't mean that, but with intelligence. This is ignorance. At the very best, it's ignorance. Otherwise, she's fully aware of what she's recommended, just as much as Snoop Dogg, or where I thank Dr. She for highlighting this. And this brother right here, that's not Dr. She down there, right? But Dr. She shared this clip that the brother put together, and you look at Snoop Dogg and what's he got hanging around his neck? And he's not wearing it so that you have to wonder, does he mean this? Does he mean that? No, he's like Jay-Z. He's in the Church of Satan. And he's a full-on member because he's been just peeped out from childhood when he was a basic, nerd almost. And he envied the attention that the real rappers, and I guess no, who I don't understand envying gangsters. I really don't. There's nothing makes you feel like life is getting better when you're hanging around people who embrace violence, right? But he envied that false respect that they seem to get, that's been increased by the media pushing gangster rap music. And so he made up this whole false persona, that a lot of the real people in his own community from when he was a child know is full of crap. And so he was always vulnerable, and they saw him right from the beginning, and they just went and they recruited him completely. So he knows what he's doing. Jay-Z knows what he's doing. They're just vile, evil people, right? And I'm not saying they're not Black people. We aren't the source of this. The further away from these devils we get, the saner we are. And so with Simone, who's been worked on all her life, she thinks this is cute, probably. She thinks, oh, look, I got a little goat on my uniform, on her black and white, same as above, as below uniform. This is a film I'm watching on Netflix, or a drama series, a K-drama. called Cinderella and the Four Knights. I'm not going to get clips from every single K-drama I watch because I don't know how many years worth of, if I watch them back to back, K-dramas I've watched that would spread out for maybe, I don't know, good 5 years. But in all of them, they always have some satanic iconography. And with this one, this is not even the central character. She's just sitting up on a couch in this, materialistically bent rich people's house reading this book. And she's supposed to be one of the sweeter characters, one of the nicer ones. That's why I watch them, because I yearn for just drama that is not filled with the doctrine of Luciferianism, the hopelessness of Luciferian. I'm all for the boy meets girl, and they manage to overcome their troubles in a sane and healthy way, not in a booty call way. And so they panned away and just went back to her 3 separate times where she's reading this book and it's right up in front of your face. That means you're supposed to look at this. And what do they have front and center? And I just captured it 2 times. This is the last time, and they wanted to make sure this was clear. But Baphomet, right on up in there. And so these icons are used to, and this is when I see Korean drama getting more and more depraved, and they're, pushing all kinds of nonsense, that who are the people who are resisting it the most is Black you and me. I see them trying to sell men makeup. And even one of the shows, they had someone who was dressed up as a woman and you knew he was a man, and they were trying to present that as, well, this is how he feels the most liberated. And they were also pushing the idea that, I once had a daughter and now I have a son. Nonsense on their own population. I'm just saying that this worship we have of non-Black people, just because their buildings are really nice, when you have civilization, it means civility. It means understanding you need to maintain the structure of your society in the most peaceful methods possible, but the structure must be maintained. It doesn't mean we build buildings. When a society has a whole bunch of nice buildings, it can often be because that society is so tyrannically oppressed. And to oppress a people, you have to prepare them to accept the oppression. So with this drama, like all of them, they always have this deer thing. Here, I just captured it real quick because I ain't going to go through each one and capture, because I'm not, these people, these devils, they're not important to me like that. And I'll just capture it when I can. And like here, I said, okay, this is with Simone, who's pushing it down our throats because she is Black and we're going to notice her. But here with the reindeer on Netflix, you see all this nonsense they're pushing, where even in that title, they'll put reindeer. The one where the dude was being stalked, but at the same time, he's dating a man who's pretending to be a woman and is being encouraged by the society to believe that that's what he is. And we know that's not true, but they'll give you this whole notion. But this is what nice people accept Satan, right? No, don't fall for it. Literally, don't fall for it. Bad. I'm just saying, with these guys, you got to look for the symbology, the iconography, because they mean it. Even if you're too stupid to understand what the hell you're promoting, they mean it. And as I say, I don't know with her. She married Jonathan Owens. That was wonderful. I did a video celebrating that. But at the same time, watching that documentary, she's like, oh, I went into therapy. Whose therapy did you go into? Is it run by the white people? Even if it was a black person you were talking to, you got to ask yourself, where'd they get their degree from? Who filled their mind? And they were so hungry to be filled with that nonsense that they paid $100,000 each year in order to get that education. And then they're going to not believe all the stuff that they were filled up with? Of course they believe it. So you walk into their office, you might as well be walking into a KKK meeting run by Albert Pike's corpse. Because all the other people in there, they're going to be pushing you to. A long time ago, I did a share on my old channel about how there was an epic rise in the amount of exorcisms being performed by the Catholic Church, which is just a coven. It's a satanic coven. And I knew, I just had a sense that there was a rise. And I looked, there's so much of a rise that they've had to recruit more priests into learning how to do exorcisms. However, the exorcisms are not to extricate you from believing hell is the solution to all things. It's to acclimate you so that those disquieting issues you have that are causing you cognitive dissonance, you can calm them down so you can sit back and embrace some arrogance and feel as if, I'm free. I'm free to love and be whatever it is that Aleister Crowley lets me be. And all them haters out there, people who use that term are the idiots. Because you're not capable of having a full conversation. You're not capable of learning. You're a Negropean. And I'm not just talking about black people who use that term, even though Negropean, that's just black people. When they have to just get this ridiculous with their own symbolism, it proves that the devil's desperate. What all this, there's so much, like with Klaus Schwab, the fact they had to threaten him with lawsuits coming from women who've worked with him, saying, oh, he looked at me in a way that made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, there's a couple families out there of the satanic elite who are looking around saying, because they don't tell folks about Fukushima fallout. They don't tell them about the hell of man-made radiation because they would lose a lot of even their white followers. Because you have to be, this is the most powerful Satanist there is out there, is the stupid people. Stupid, common people who do no research. Whatever Daily Mail tells them, they're going to believe it. And so I thank Kevin Blanche for putting this link to this article in one of his latest shares. That, I mean, Kevin is like all over the place. And I could be all over the place because there's just so much data involved in revealing the truth about man-made radiation. And so I listen and I understand that that's just his rage and ways that he's finding to vent it, given the fact that melanin in itself is civilizing. It is rooted. It tends to give you automatic ability, like Simone can, figure out calculations when she's literally flying through the air. It gives you an ability to look at all your emotions once you have as much data, so you know, okay, this is the enemy, this is not the enemy. And then your emotions are simply informative roadmaps. They don't overwhelm you, so that you cannot project fully forward and see the outcome of your deeds. And so I recommend listening to him, because he's about the closest amongst all white people over the whole freaking planet who will actually even get to telling a little bit of truth about his own people. That is so hard for white people to do. And so I salute him on doing that. And I thank him for the link to this article. The oceans are weirdly hot. Scientists are trying to figure out why. These people are incredible. And he did. Kevin went through a whole thing where he's like, they're befuddled, they're baffled, they're, just like it's a mystery. These are the things that they always say when it comes to the deluge of death. That is just happening. And it was happening first in the Pacific, and it's coming up. It's already come up on the rivers, and now it's happening to people, and they're trying to find all sorts of ways to hide it and get everybody to do what the guy I showed the quote from was recommending, that we aren't letting anybody in to this new world order unless you take a pledge that you are loyal to Lucifer. What? And then I had read a quote from the Talmud where they were saying that the prince will only come if the prince of good will only come if everybody's good, or the prince of evil will only come if everybody's a sinner, everybody's bad. That's not what's in the holy books. Job was all by himself. Okay? Noah, he had family, but he lost a bunch of them. He lost his sons. I think it's just one son that went with him. And he had his wife. That's a wonderful thing. But I think if it was just like one or two in your own life that you had known who were good through this hell, you might not have survived it yourself. But in the books, it says he sees everything, even the mustard seed. And to me, that just means he sees all the way down to the atom, down to the quark. He sees everything. He created existence. And so if you are good and you are about the truth, he ain't going to turn his back on you. But that's the way they lie to each other. That's in the Talmud. Oh, my goodness. And I am not against Jewish people. There are Jewish people out there who recognize the political stance of Zionism. And there's a whole thing about that, but I'm not allowed to discuss that. Right? That's a key feature of what's going on. But I also don't fall for the lie that, it's just some Jewish people. So I ain't getting on let's bring the ovens out. No, I ain't doing that. Right? Because there are Jewish people out there who object fiercely. And I thank them for that. Right? We're separate nations, but that doesn't mean that when you put the data in front of me, I'm not going to look at it with my emotions there, but at the same time, I'm going to say, whoa, emotions, hold on a second. Let's look at this clearly. So you retain your humanity. You retain your ability to see things deeply, okay? And so with all of this that's happening, they're all keeping quiet. They're all not saying enough. And when I say all, like I say, I make exceptions for the rule, but the oceans are weirdly hot. Scientists are trying to figure out why. I don't even have to read the story. I'll put these links out there so you can go, all right, and check it out. But notice right here, they got the East Coast in this too. I just want you to understand that this is not something that I haven't been warning us about ever since Fukushima, right? So yes, I've been at this. I had a whole channel, 21,000 subscribers. And just even having that was too legitimizing for these devils, so that they took that away. And I know they would never give me that channel back, even though I never, ever wish anybody any harm. If there were people who I really love, most of their information and the heart and soul that they put with it But then they started recommending violence, or they started putting out there that, oh, well, like we really like, I forget what it's, Dormer or Christopher Dormer, who shot people. I'm like, no, no way. You don't do that. You don't recommend that. You don't celebrate people who do stuff like that, because it is our spiritually awakened minds. I don't mean woke, okay, because that's as dead as you could be. Awakened minds that are going to win this, not just doing what Albert Pike would say. Yeah, you took the bait. Now I got this fish on the hook, and I can prove that pro-black means they're mindlessly brutal. No, it doesn't. Right? It means we want all the truth, and we are here to be of service to that truth and the creator of the truth. Okay. So I had already said that years and years back, the radiation is traveling. It's not staying in one place, but all of the carnage emanated with the Pacific. So more than 50 beaches are shut down across the East Coast. They keep highlighting this because no, stop looking at California and the West Coast. This is going on the East Coast. Yeah, but then, wow, I don't know how much time I just spent trying to find this friggin' map of the waste isolation pilot plant program WIP. That's all waste isolation pilot plant truck fire that happened about 9 years ago. And the whole thing was a lie. I'm not going to get into the whole, there was actually a fire, but it was a release of plutonium. And they had a map that projected it out up along the East Coast. There are nuclear releases on every weekend. They have to vent what they call the noble gases. Well, in these gases are also radioactive particles. It'd be impossible for it not to be. So those releases are happening from every single nuclear facility every single weekend. And on top of that, they have accidents on the constant. I have reported about one that never even made it into the headlines, that was coming from Philadelphia and made a beeline through Washington, D.C. They didn't evacuate anybody, but I found out it was like hundreds of thousands of becquerels. Now, all of that, I think with the WIP one in particular, and certain venting, and the fact that they've reduced the staff at nuclear power plants and hired new people that would be part of the Baphometic crew, I would conclude, perfectly happy to lie if they could get whatever they're addicted to. That has broadened out the range of data so that they could hide the carnage coming from Fukushima. Not, as I say, it's coming from every single nuclear power source, but just the massive tonnage of radiation that comes out of that sucker every single day makes it such an aberration that you can isolate what radiation, all of it, does to everyone. When you look at this map here, you're like, why don't these scientists who don't understand, they say, oh, the oceans are getting weirdly warmer. What they mean is, look at all of this coming from the Pacific, then look at all of this on the West Coast, right? This is why they've been slowly, quietly evacuating the West Coast, because it's been hammered and the radiation didn't stop there. And you could, when you look at the projection maps, it got stopped quite a bit by the Rocky Mountains, but it's still death coming over. Ain't no level of radiation that's going to be absolutely powerless over organic life. And so everything, the orange fires, they were over here. Up in Canada, they got hammered by Fukushima radiation. So I think they did the fires up there on purpose too, because there was so much radiation up in there. Those fires re-release that radioactive deluge so that the skies, even where I was, were orange. They were orange, not as orange as on California or just the whole West Coast, but still discernibly, everyone could tell the difference. And so the scientists never, ever, ever even, it's so bad over here that it's just like 16,265 samples. Not a one of them comes back saying, oh no, there was no radiation over here. And one atom is the equivalent to swallowing an entire X-ray machine and leaving it on 24/7 in your body. One atom. When I'm talking about a becquerel, I mean the energy that one atom puts out, strong enough to flip an entire grain of sand. If it's flipping one atom, a grain of sand, and it puts out 1,440 pulses per day, 1,440 becquerels per day from one atom, and that's inside your body, if it can flip a grain of sand, trust me, your DNA ain't no problem for it. But there are things that I found that you could do to mitigate and chelate that radiation out of your body. That even if you're fit, even if you don't smoke cigarettes, if you do nothing to address it specifically, that one becquerel is all you need. That one atom is all you need. So this is a share I did. This I did 7 months ago, where I was already finding the data, coming to Cali waves, coming to a coastline near everybody. But stuff like this, you cannot be a Negropean and know a damn thing about it. Because I would tell Simone, don't build that big giant mansion unless, okay, you want some food, you want to grow some food or something like that is not GMO and all that good stuff, that there's reasons why they're denutritionalizing the food, because the radiation is going to be more rapidly absorbed. There's a reason why they're pushing sea moss with Black people, because sea vegetation, all sea life is going to absorb massive quantities of radiation. And then your body, which would have less than that food you're eating, that sea moss you're eating, it's going to offload it into your body. Hence, we see so many people succumbing to things that these guys are like, we don't know why. All these young people are coming down with colon cancer, when the jabberoonie dooney didn't do that to you because it wasn't injected into your friggin' intestines. That's what you're eating that's giving you that problem, or what you're breathing. Susan Wojcicki, former and now dead CEO of YouTube, who lived in California. I mean, this was a dinner, and I guess that's Simone's hand right there, because she tends to like that white nail polish. I'm not saying anything particular, but here she is at a dinner, and it's in obviously a very exclusive type of establishment. I noticed they got all these stars down there, and I'm just like, and one is oh wow, I see a 6-pointed star up in there when you got all these friggin' just 5-pointed ones. Why is that up in there? Here's the photo, just blown up so that you could see what I'm talking about. These people are so just creepy. They're creepy. Why would you? It's obvious. That star right there, all red, right there in the center, and it's 6 points. Every other star is 5. And then over here, I noticed they got the black and white going on. As above, so below. See, that's what I'm saying. Don't play games with these people. You could be sitting at a table filled with beautiful Black people, and each and every single one of them is clueless. Clueless. You do not support a doctrine that is about lies and treachery and destroying everything. I know they tell, oh, but slavery, it was so long ago. When you have no planet whatsoever, everything is long ago. Sooner or later, existence is long ago. You are long ago. Our mightiness is long ago. So don't we fight to stop that? Not if you're out of your daggone mind and you are congratulating yourself over your stupidity. So much so that you just like, what's the difference between you and this dude right here? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. You're just out of your mind. And you're going to the wrong daggone therapist. You need to actually read those holy books. And not just read the books, because there's stuff in the books that'll get you confused too. Because a lot of it has been interpreted through non-melanated persons. They have melanin, but they have a melanin that is anti-life and harmony and all the rest of that. I'm just saying, it's the physiology, it's the science. It doesn't work well. Go to the people who their deeds prove what they're about. Now, I hope you know some in your own life. And if you don't, you could come right on over to us at 25,000yearcycle.org. I'm not doing this as a commercial. I'm not saying you probably know better, but I'm just saying a lot of Negropeans, they get ache, whatever, they're running off to the Western trained doctor and they ask no more questions. During the whole scandal-endemic thing, you have one of these fierce elected, so-called elected politicians up here, Black woman, saying, I don't ask no questions. I'm just going to roll up my sleeve. And now that's all part. I mean, have any of these people apologized with all the data that's out there about how toxic that vaccine is? But it didn't cause the death of the Pacific Ocean. Okay? Because I need to see from all these people who are trying, because that was part of the PSYOP. Let's give them something to be fearful about. But you aren't going to be getting any more of those injectables. However, you're going to keep on eating food. And if you're eating the sea moss, you might as well have gone and gotten 200 of them daggone injectables, right? Every single day. So this isn't to commercialize or take advantage. It's to be of assistance in a way that's long term, right? We are of no service to you if we're not capable of sustaining our advocacy. And thereby, this is a absolutely healing way of spreading the good word, because the devil's lost. Who would bring out Lucifer as if that's an option with all the documenting of all of the data out there that shows what he's about? He's a liar. He's not denying that. But we've been talked into believing that having material wealth is worth lying over. Oh, it's your resume. It's okay if you exaggerate it a little bit. Oh, it's Christmas. It's such a beautiful holiday. It's all right if you lie to your children about Santa Claus a little bit. Right? And the Catholic Church, which is what I understand, Simone Biles is a Catholic. I'm not saying that definitively, but that's what I understand. They've got nothing but saints up there. That's just another term for Satan. Okay? Where you're not supposed to, it's supposed to be about the one and only. But you got all these saints that you go and you consult and you have altars to the saints. Those are those little lies. And they've acclimated us into it. So nothing makes any sense. And this is, dude, I don't even want to call you brother because I'm just like, what? It's like, oh, behave. Behave in hell? What's that mean? Right? He keeps saying, oh, you behave. There's some people who love the nothingness. They've never been there, not in this lifetime or any other. If they've been alive by the grace of Allah, the nothingness is pure, raw antimatter. It is pain with no relief possible on a constant basis. Nobody loves the nothingness once you get there. And that's what the Most High used, the name you've been guided to embrace righteously. I mean, the one who built existence with truth, right? There's nobody who loves it. And he says that you believe what he says when he says it, right? Because the science is just going to back you up. But you got to be doing the research, which Dr. She and I do on a regular, constant basis, so we can be of assistance to you. So come on over to 25,000 year cycle right on up here. You got all the links that you could go to. He put one here separately for me. That's a wonderful man, right? And you could do a consultation. This ain't no joke. It's what it is. It's our nature to be here for each other, right? That's why the further away, as Brother Yapo Yapa said, the further away you get from the devil, the saner you become. The closer you get to these devils, the more your therapy tells you that this is a good idea. Mm, mm, mm. Straight black pride submitted to the commands of the one and only, the Alpha and the Omega, is our roadmap to forever. Peace and blessings. Love you.